Hi, my name is Matt Kosterman. I'm a 56-year-old white guy living in Chicago, Illinois. For the first 50 plus years of my life, I didn't think I was allowed to be here. Not just here in Chicago, but here, on Earth, in a body. I suffered from depression for most of my life. I smoked my first joint at age 11 and had my first drink of Southern Comfort straight from the bottle at age 13. While the cannabis never really took hold as an addiction, I drank alcohol for the next 20 years, many times to excess. In 1998, I began psychotherapy, and in the year 2000, I started on antidepressants. I spent 12 years on them and 15 years in traditional talk therapy. Meanwhile, I built a successful business, became a father to 2 amazing girls, and rehabbed an old house in a nice suburb. I did all the things. In 2010, I went through divorce, foreclosure, and bankruptcy. Fun times. After much flailing about, I got my head on straight in 2015, only to begin experiencing severe chronic pelvic pain along with fibromyalgia. I spent nearly 3 years in the Western medical system trying desperately to heal. In 2018, out of money and out of patience, my healing journey really kicked into gear after my first magic mushroom trip. The years since have been an amazing and challenging ride. I've traversed the physical and not-so-physical worlds and been fortunate to work with many, many talented healers. As a result of all my efforts, I now find myself in a place of receiving, contentment, and prosperity, the likes of which had eluded me for most of my life. There's a man named Daryl Anka who channels a being called Bashar. Bashar describes the process of engaging with a healer, that of giving yourself what is essentially a permission slip to move towards wholeness, healing, and right relationship. This podcast is an effort to share some of what I've learned and introduce you to some of the people and ways that literally gave me what feels like my permission slip for existence. It's also an effort to continue to spread the word that the traditional Western medical system, while effective for a great many things, is not necessarily the be-all, end-all solution to every health problem, especially when the problem may be more spiritual than it is physical, as it was in my case. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoy it. Please like, subscribe, and do all the social media things that help spread the word. Share these links with people directly in your community. It is my sincere hope that you and others will benefit from my experiences. Hi, welcome back to the Permission Slip. This is Matt, if you hadn't guessed. And today I am here with the lovely Pascale Falempin. She joins us from, I know her from Beyond, which is a holistic health club and co-working space that I'm a member of in Chicago. Welcome, Pascale.
Hi, Matt. Thank you.
Thank you for
having me
here. Pascale is a Pilates instructor, a yoga instructor.
Not yoga,
not yoga?
But breathwork as well.
Breathwork, sorry. Pilates and breathwork. And a dancer. She came up.
An ex-dancer, retired dancer.
A retired dancer. And she is originally from Corsica.
Yes.
Which we were just going over the geography of it. It's off the south of France in a very beautiful part of the world that is much warmer than the high of 9 that we got in Chicago today.
Today, yes, definitely. Miss Corsica very much today, especially today.
Especially today. And I think, what are we, about minus 25 in Celsius today or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's quite cold. So I invited Pascale to be here. She's created a program recently that you can explore online. And I love to chat with people who are on this process of helping people to become embodied, and to which in my definition means getting into right relationship with your mind and your body and your spirit and lining all those up. Tell us a little bit about your background, Pascale. What was it like growing up in Corsica? I like to kind of have everybody on, we all come from such different places and yet we have so many of the same experiences.
True. No, it was lovely. It was quite privileged in the sense that, like beautiful island, beautiful nature, but also I felt at least, maybe it's different for these generations now, but like back in my days, I felt quite sheltered. Mm-hmm. It was still very, sort of like sheltered from the world. It was sheltered from the rest of France and whatever was happening. It was just very simple life
Yeah.
in a way.
It's French citizenship. It's a French.
Yes, yes, yeah.
It's part of
a
France.
franchise. It's
just
part
an
of
island.
France.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But you said about 400,000 inhabitants on the whole
Yeah,
island.
in the whole island, more or less. Yes.
Yeah. So it must have been idyllic in many ways.
Yeah, it really was. It really was. It's funny because like I'm jumping into fast forward into the future, but when I then moved to Paris for university, I was like, wow, I would like literally walk the streets, like looking up to all like to soak up all the architectures and I remember thinking the first weeks of even months of university, meeting up with classmates, and I was like, oh my God, they're so, like the culture is immense. And I was in Corsica, and there was like in my hometown, there was like one theater with like such a like small like programming. And I was like, oh, I missed out so much. And I have so much to catch up on now. Like, I don't know this artist and I don't know that writer. And, you know, so... but then like now getting older, like it was just like temporary, that feeling. I was just being like, I felt so, I don't know, I had some catch up to do in a good way.
Yeah.
But now looking at it, I'm just like, yeah, but I wouldn't give that for the world. You know, I had different things. It's just different.
Just different experience. Yeah.
Yeah, different experience.
Yeah. And you signed up for it.
Exactly.
Some part of you.
Some part of me
signed up for it. Yeah. Some point in time. And so we were chatting earlier, you said it was idyllic in terms of the set and setting and the beautiful place, and but you went through a bit of trauma early on in life with your family.
Yeah, good, difficult, like complex setup, like many.
Yeah.
My dad's, you know, suffered from mental health, like his mental health was not really linear. He suffered from depression and bipolar as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it made it very, very challenging at times, and as a result, my parents split when I was quite young. I was like 5 or 6.
Okay.
And this resulted in my dad moving away. He stayed in Corsica. My dad was not from Corsica originally. My mom is. So, you know, he stuck around, but he just went and lived in like a hermit, like literally in a small village. So, yeah, I didn't see much of him in my childhood, but also mostly because after that split, those were like very dark years for him, and you know, in and out of psychiatric hospitals. And so yeah, that was a lot. But that was a lot when you don't really understand what's going on, because I was so small, and then you know that big thing, well, like no judgment at all, but that big thing of like no explaining either as a parent, because you're just like,
right.
Well, she's not understanding anyway. She's 5,
right.
You know?
Yeah, yeah.
But you soak up so much as a child, even though you can't, you don't have words to describe what's going on. So, yeah, that was difficult, knowing and breathing it all, but not really understanding and making sense of any of it.
And so when did you, when did you begin dancing then? When did you start?
Yeah, around that time,
around
actually.
That time.
Like I started at 5 years old.
Wow.
And that was, instant. I clicked instantly. That was, I loved it.
Sanctuary.
I think it was a bit of, now looking back, it's probably a bit of an escape, but I also clicked with, a new way of expressing myself, that I didn't have to put words. Like words seemed so concrete. You had to really describe something and be precise. With movement, it's just up to interpretation, right?
Yeah.
So that's the nice thing about it.
And it was ballet was the first?
It was ballet. First it was ballet. For a while it was just
it was
ballet.
France, so it has to
Exactly. And also by nature, like from my personality, I think I clicked with ballet because of the discipline. I like the discipline. I liked it from like a very young age. I was not that sort of like a rebellious child breaking rules. I was quite happy to if you told me to do something, and as long as I liked it, I would be like, okay, cool.
Okay, good.
Now I'll put the work in and make it work.
So you were fortunate in some ways at a young age to understand this concept of embodiment, whether you understood it or not, but you were
Absolutely.
it, like you were expressing yourself through your body.
Yeah, definitely.
And listening to your body.
Yeah.
As well, which so many of us, myself included, don't always do. Or know how.
Well, it was not that understanding was not like, it's not a straightforward path, because I think I had, it filled, it filled up its mission when I was a child, but then, growing up, I fell out the wagon a little bit with like movement, and I was not always that like super mindful and conscious and aware of my body as I, I'm trying to be today.
Yeah, as you got into the teenage years and.
Oh yeah, that was a bit more like.
Yeah. But then you joined a company to dance?
Yeah, I was very lucky. It was actually my ballet teacher. So she had her local school where I, first signed up when I was 5 years old. And then she created for the young aspiring dancers in Corsica, because, being an island, you're like a little bit, cut off from the rest of the continent, even if it's not very, very far.
You had to take a boat or a plane.
Exactly.
To go.
So it's also like it has an economic impact, because if you want to join a company, even in Nice, it's a cost. And if you're young, so your parents want to come visit you, it's just like a lot of extra cost to it. So she had the wonderful idea of creating a semi-professional company in Corsica. So pulling all the dancers from every part of the island, and bringing in amazing teachers, choreographers, dancers. So we would have great workshops, and we did like creation work as well. So we performed. We actually had choreographers coming, and we would work for like months on like a gala. I don't know how to call it.
Sure.
And then get to perform and tour little theaters within Corsica. So it was like beautiful, because it was like a full 360 dancer experience.
Yeah, and this was in like as a teenager or as a young adult?
Yes, I joined the company when I was 13.
Okay. Oh yeah.
And I stayed until 18, when then I had my end of high school diploma.
Right.
And then left, and then went to university.
It's funny. There's a little known fact that I actually danced with a semi-professional ballet company for 2 performances in Florida. They needed men.
What? And I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I had done a lot of theater work in high school, and my friend's mother convinced us. She helped run a small company in Clearwater, Florida, and she convinced me to convince my buddies that all we needed to do was waltz, and they needed men for the graduation ball so we had costumes, and we rehearsed for several months with the young women, and it was fun because we were all like 17, 18, and the girls were like 16, 15, so we were very much looked up to, and even though we were not great dancers, but it wasn't true that all we had to do was waltz. We had to lift girls. I mean, it was we performed it at it's called Ruth Eckert Hall. It's almost like our version of the Chicago Theater down.
No, wow.
It was a bigger deal than I realized when I signed up for it. So I have a bit of understanding, and I know.
Do you miss your dancing days?
I don't really miss my. Although I did have taking some lessons, not in ballet, but in some swing and whatnot, just to move my body. It was fun. It was a good time. But I can appreciate the immense amount of training that goes in.
Yeah, it is. It is a lot. When I look back, it is. It really is a lot.
It's a lot.
It's like long hours, and you're a teenager essentially, and you have choreographers or teachers like pushing you so much to that point, and they tell you after, because I remember at some point we were rehearsing, so we had put that piece together with this amazing choreographer that had come from Paris and it was really tough.
It was
like
tough.
That was contemporary dance, modern dance. And so we were in the theater, we had a residency, so we had like a week of like sort of like final rehearsing in the space with the lights.
It's like constantly just...
Yeah, for like a week, and at the end of the week it was like the first performance. And would literally be in the studio from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Maybe a half-hour lunch. And I remember like that time in particular, we do that last rehearsal, so it's like conditions, like it's the performance, you know, so you're just like, you're like,
dress
you've got
rehearsal,
your dress
full
rehearsal,
everything.
exactly.
Yeah.
I was looking for that word in English. So full on dress rehearsal, it's like 9:30, you're like exhausted because it's already like 5 days, you're doing these like 10, 12 hours per day. And he's all like, this was terrible. And he screams at us, this was shit.
Really?
This was terrible. We can't open on like Saturday. Blah, blah. And we all like started to cry.
Yeah.
Because we're like, literally like, what do you want from us?
That's abusive.
And then, honestly, it's
Yeah.
like borderline abusive.
Yeah.
And, you know, that was like on my like small scale, you know, semi-professional dance company. So I'm still like guessing it was nice. You know, I can't even imagine like the school of the Paris opera, or you know, anywhere else, or in Russia or something.
Yeah,
like, God knows.
They're hitting you.
Literally. And then the next day, like we show up, we're just like completely like the opposite. We're like demotivated. We're like, oh, we're useless. We can't even dance. Well, and it's just like, we do another one. It's like, oh yeah, that was good. You see? And basically, they push you to the brink of like physical fatigue, muscle fatigue, mental fatigue as well, because they think at some point beyond that, it's a bit of a bet for like teenagers. Beyond that, you're gonna unleash and uncover like that new resilience or strength, and you're gonna show something else. Which, you know, sometimes, you know, most...
It's a bet, though.
It's a bet.
It can go either way.
Happens, but it could go either way. Also because, you're not fully formed adults or anything when you're like 14 or 15 or even, you know, 16.
Sure, no, not
so,
at all.
I remember that. That was tough. I don't... I look at it fondly, though.
Yeah,
because
looking
it's the
back.
school of life, right?
Right. Well, I think it's probably similar to a lot of people's athletic upbringing with coaches, and
it's the same.
They're living out some childhood stuff of their own.
Yeah.
I mean, I was recently, I photographed an event out on the West Coast with one of the top, the guest speaker was one of the top collegiate coaches of all time. And I remember hearing his story about his childhood growing up and how his father treated him and the coaches. And I was like, well, that's abuse. That's trauma. Like, that's, you know, but it worked for him. Like you said, it's a bet.
It's a bet, yeah.
It's a bet. And some people will crack and...
Yeah. And I would see like, you know, friends of mine. I think, again, I had the thrive and I responded. Well, I don't think it's any merit of mine. I think I responded okay to that kind of abuse. I don't know what it says about me, but to that, like, being tough, but I knew I could see the purpose and that would sort of like push me to give more. But I could see like some of my friends were like, oh, enough of that. I don't care. You know, like, what am I doing these? Like,
yeah.
So, yeah.
And then did you continue, when you went to university, dance studies? I did
continue, yes. I did continue. So I studied in Paris. I went and did something very, very general, it was like cultural studies. So it was anything applied to the arts world and the cultural world. So, you know, I did a bit of law, but, you know, sort of like think intellectual property, sociology, philosophy. It was very, very interesting.
Yeah.
History of arts, exactly. And, you know, especially the first few years, it gave me like a lot of free time to, you know, go from the university to rush to like a few dance studios that I liked in Paris. And I kept on dancing, but then I just didn't pursue it. That was my idea initially, to go and start doing auditions and give it a real go. And then, I don't know, I had too many things. I was curious about too many things.
It takes a single minded focus. Like you have to.
Oh, it's religion. You go into it like you go into religion, and that's it. It's like the amount of sacrifices.
How did your body hold up through all of it?
Incredibly well.
Okay.
I was, yeah. And I was, when I was a kid, I was so skinny, and like, I remember in school, I would get like self-bullied into like, did your parents give you some food?
You're eating enough?
I would like look at them like, what do you mean? Like, what is that question? Uh-huh. No, I was always very skinny, but I think it was just my constitution. But I was strong because, like, yeah, I could handle all of these. So like, I was okay.
Okay.
And at least I guess I didn't have, for the anecdote, like we had a ballet teacher in this company. And every now and again, he would put us in line. And the first time we had no clue what he was doing. We're like, is it choreography? What is it? All the girls just in line. And then he would come to you and be like, 2, 3, 1. And we're like, what is he talking about? And those numbers of kilos you're supposed to lose. But again, we're like teenagers. Imagine.
And 2 kilos already, is 2 kilos is like a kilo is like 2.5 pounds, I think.
Oh yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to put it in, the U.S., I think it's about 2.6, something like that. So you're talking about
like double. Yeah.
Yeah, 5 pounds, 10 pounds.
Yeah.
But you were already thin, and they're telling you needed to lose.
Oh no, I was the lucky one, because he came to me, didn't say anything. So at first I was like, oh, he didn't say anything to me, maybe said anything to everyone else. But like I was already like.
Okay. You didn't. Yeah. You could keep eating the
skeleton
croissants.
Looking enough to
wow, yeah,
to pass the test. But it's like it's crazy when you think about it. And I don't think, and this is an example, but again, in like professional ballet schools, this is just routine.
Yeah.
I remember watching so many documentaries about the Paris Opera, and at the school they weigh you at the beginning of term, mid-term, like
you gotta make weight.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
it's a tough world, definitely. And now thinking about it, I can see, and especially the way, like the teacher I am today, and the way I see movement, and it's contributed to, not so much for me, but I can see how it contributes to like a distorted body image, like so much.
And let's circle back around to that. But what took you to when did you begin on the path of like the fitness and Pilates, learning Pilates and learning breathwork?
Always. So after Paris, I moved to London.
Yeah.
So I studied in Paris for about 5 years, and then when I decided to sort of like quit dancing, I quit dancing.
Done.
Yes. Because it was just too painful. It's like you break up with the love of your life, and you don't want to be friends.
Try to go to dinner with him.
Because you're just like, it's kind of like all or nothing.
Yeah.
So that's how it felt for me with dance. I didn't even go take any dance classes every now and again. I just couldn't do it just like that, just lightly.
Sure.
So then, I moved to London. And started working in theater production. I studied some more, and then started working in the theater world, theater production. And then it was an encounter, one of those that you're like, it was an epiphany. I had just moved to a different neighborhood, and I had a lot of free time because I had just lost my job, and I was sort of like freelancing here and there, so working from home. And I went to my local, not even like a fancy studio, it was a community center. And I met this amazing, amazing Canadian woman. She wouldn't want me to precise that she's Canadian. She's quite proud about that.
She would want you to emphasize that.
Oh, she would want that.
Proud Canadian.
She would start a class every day because, it's true that sometimes English people, like they always like pick, like they they hear a twang and they're like, oh, where are you from?
Yep. Yeah.
So she would arrive and be like, okay, so we're going to do these. Blah, blah. By the way, I'm Gail. The accent is Canadian. Get over it. And then she would like start class.
Let's go oot.
That would literally like her like intro to almost every single classes. So I started going to her class. I just, it suited my schedule, and I just went. And at the time, this is very important too, she was 78.
Oh my goodness. Wow. And this was a Pilates class?
And this was a Pilates class.
Okay. Reformer or mat?
It was mat.
Mat Pilates.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were in like this huge community center room, and it was like mat Pilates. And it was amazing. I was like, oh, I love that. And, because it was community center as well, it was just probably, I think it was £7.
The cost.
The class.
Yeah.
So I started going every day. I was like, well, I'll have the time. It was in the morning, and then I can get back to work. So I started going every day, and it was amazing. It was like a tough moment as well because, I think I had gotten through was going through a breakup as well. And then I had lost my job, and I was in this new neighborhood. And, it was start of the year when you have so much hope for the start of this new year is going to be different. Yeah. And then you're just like, well, actually, it's even worse than the last. What is this?
In America, it would be the foundations of a country western song.
Yeah, exactly.
Your dog ran off. And you
Exactly. I should have written a song about it. Maybe I'd be rich today.
Lost the job, lost the boyfriend.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I discovered Pilates.
So I started going to like literally all of girls' classes, and but just because it was a moment of reconnection for me to movement. I was like falling in love with the movement again. It was not dance, but it was my way back into movement. And I loved it. And then she planted a seed because one day she was like, why don't you do the teacher's training? Mm-hmm. I was like, no, I could never. I've never seen myself as a teacher as well. I could never teach someone, you know? She was like, yes, you can. Yeah. Come on, do it. And she started like every day. Have you signed up? I've sent you all the info though. Like,
really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
But she actually planted a seed because I started to think, well, in this arts world, like the job I'm doing right now, it's not exactly like I'm always working. It's a bit precarious. So it wouldn't hurt having a second job. And I enjoy it. So I did it. I took my certification.
And it's a lot of hours.
It was a lot of hours.
Yeah,
it's a lot of anatomy.
Of anatomy.
Oh my God! You don't realize how many muscles there are in your body until you have to study them all.
500 and some, I think,
There's
right?
so many.
Yeah.
But it was fascinating. It was painful at times, but I was so into it.
Okay.
So it was a lot of like many months of studying all the anatomy and the theory, and some back pathologies, for example, and then you have that first exam that is all theory, so written exam, and then you start doing all your practice. You've got weekends, like workshop weekends with the teacher, like practicing, and then you have that second exam, which is on the practice, but sort of like putting it all together as well.
And so that was, and this was what, 15 years ago?
It was 13 years ago. It's 2013.
13 years ago. Wow.
Yeah. And then she gave me her first. She's amazing. She's amazing. She gave me my first gigs because every now and again, I would still go to her. I continued going to her class, and halfway through the class, that's when I was studying for my practical exam. She would stop and be like, "Pascale, get up, you finished the class." And I would like be like completely like, I can't do that. I'm frightened. There were like 25 people. Because you know them all. You've been coming to classes anyway.
Yeah.
But then when
you were done because you were like.
Sorry?
I don't understand. To clarify, she said you were finished because you'd done so well, or.
Oh no, sorry. She would tell me like, "Oh, you finished the class. You teach." So halfway through the class, to give me, she was amazing. So to give me experience and opportunity to practice before my practical exam, she'd be like, "Okay, get up. Like now, like
you show
take them through like a few exercises just to close the class." And I'd be like, "What are you saying? Are you insane?"
Yeah.
And then she gave me my first gigs as well when I actually got my certification.
Okay.
She would make up excuse and be like, "Oh, I can't teach on Thursday. Can you
take it?
Can you sub for me?"
And at this point, she's like 80, right? I mean, she's probably
by that time she was, Now she's 90.
Now she's 90.
She turned 90 years old last year.
Wow. Still teaching?
So she's no longer teaching, but she's still doing exercise at home. She's hilarious. She's really, really funny. She's a writer as well.
Okay.
She always says, that's my first job. But a good few years ago, I don't know exactly now, but she had a hip replacement and she had such a speedy recovery. She was in her 80s already. She's probably 85.
Uh-huh.
And we would speak on the phone and I'm like, how are you doing? I'm very upset. I can't do the split anymore.
I can't do the split anymore.
I'm like, well, Gail, you're 85. Maybe it's okay that you can't do this. But she's like, no, it's not. I've lost my flexibility. Hilarious.
She's got an artificial hip. Yeah. And so that was training for both mat and reformer?
So I did just my mat first.
Mat, okay.
I love mat work. I love reformer as well, but I think mat work was my first love. And
with the dance background.
Yes, I think maybe it spoke to me in a different way. And I was very adamant with that. I really wanted to take my mat certification first, teach for a few years, and then I took, 3-4 years later, I took my reformer certifications.
Okay.
I just wanted for it to sit in a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. And then you began teaching classes and doing private instruction.
Yes, at the beginning. So I was still in London, and I had an office job, but I would teach on the weekend. I would teach some evenings after work. I would teach some early mornings. I had some 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. and then run to get to the office. I did that for a couple of years.
Yeah. And what was I going to circle back around to? Sorry, we were talking, I said, because I wanted to see how you got into the Pilates, and I've lost the thread on that. You had said at one point you were teaching in London 8 classes a day. Was this?
Oh, so that was later.
Later.
So after London, I actually grew a bit. There was no sort of immediate progress in my arts job, let's say in my office job, and it was just so complicated. And on the other hand, the teaching was very, very growing on me, and
fulfilling.
I really, really loved it. And the other thing is, after 7 years in London, I had come to a point. It was Brexit year as well, and I was just, I can't stay here anymore. I literally have 2 jobs. I live in a tiny room, sharing my apartment with someone I don't know. I'm 30 years old. A bit of a crisis. I was not happy. I was like, okay, I'm not happy. I did a lot of growing that year. Lot of self-introspection, and something needs to change. It's funny because it was exactly 10 years ago. I left London at the end of 2016. And the universe helped me because I wanted to leave London. I didn't know where to go. I didn't want to live without a job. And someone approached me from a gym, sort of same bit similar to Beyond, a bit of an exclusive gym inside a hotel in London. And so they wanted me to join the team, join the gym in London. But doing my research before that first interview, I read that they had just launched the same context, so that gym inside it's the Bulgari Hotel in Milan.
Oh.
So I went in there, listened to what they had to say, and they were like, do you want to join the London team? I was like, oh, yeah, I would like it. Do you have any questions? Like, what about Milan? So I was like, I'm just going to go for it.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, what do you mean? Do you want to go to Milan? I was like, well, why not? And he's like, music to my ears, because I launched a project. I'm struggling to find instructors that I like right now. And do you want to go? That was October. Do you want to go? When can you go? So I well, I kind of need to close a few things here, but January, okay? He's like, yeah, fine.
Yeah.
So once I had that, I was like, okay, I'm not going without a job with nothing,
Yep.
so I
You
can
have a
go.
job.
But that was a big jump because I left an office job, which gave me stability,
Right.
to really dive headfirst into freelance life
And teaching.
in a new country. I didn't speak Italian, but
Yeah.
I was all like, detail.
Yeah, that's minor.
Minor detail. I'll be fine. I can learn, right?
Did you have any kind of a spiritual, nature about you, a connection with sort of with source, with that the universe will provide for
So
me?
I
Did you develop
I've always
that?
been I developed it for sure. 10 years ago, maybe a bit less, but I still had this thing that, okay, if this is happening, everything else will align. I really was convinced of that, or at least I manifested it.
Mm-hmm.
And what's very interesting is that at the time, it was in the back of my head already for quite a few years to go to a tarot reader.
To a tarot reader, okay.
I just really wanted to do it. But I was a mix of like excitement and being scared about what they could tell you,
Right.
And also, I didn't know anyone.
That did that.
Exactly. I didn't know anyone that did that. I didn't have like a valid recommendation. I didn't want to just go to someone because...
Right, psychic, neon sign.
Exactly.
Right.
There are so many in Chicago.
There are
though.
many, yeah. Once
So
you start
many.
looking for them, like there's one
There's
down in
so
the
many.
loop. And
Yeah. I've seen so many.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with those. It's just
No,
some of them are very
course.
quite good.
Yeah, the thing is like you don't know.
Right. But it's that there's that stereotype of,
True.
they're going to look into the crystal ball.
Exactly. So I had just had that first appointment with the gym owner that told me, okay, what do you want to go to Milan? So that was kind of done. And I went to Paris for the weekend, and my sister-in-law was like, but it was just really random. She's like, oh, I've been going to this tarot reader. She's amazing. And I'm like, what?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I've been going for like years. I even got your brother to go. And my brother was like the most skeptical person about these things.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
So I was like, do you think you could get me an appointment? She's like, yeah, sure.
Uh-huh.
And over that weekend I was in Paris, I went. So I was still a bit like, I'm not going to say too much, So I didn't say,
right.
I literally said nothing. But anyway, she asked me for my, astrological sign, and that's it. That was it. But it's so funny that spread, I don't know, she flipped over 3 cards and she was like, are you moving country? Are you moving away? And I was just like, well, I don't know. And you have these things like,
skeptic.
I don't want to give it too much.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I don't know. She's like, yes, you are. You are soon. That's such a good move as well. You're going to a sunny place. Where you are right now, it's just not good for you. It's like draining you mentally, emotionally, physically. It's just not good.
Yeah.
But I see sun there. You're going to a sunny place. It's going to be so good for you. Everything is going to align. And I was like, what the hell is going on?
Wow.
And then I started feeding her more information. Obviously, it became a bit of a conversation. She was like, oh my God, that you have to do that. And, my worry was okay, am I going to find it? Because I needed more gigs in other Pilates studios. Obviously, I couldn't have just one.
Yeah.
I was like, am I going to find work? And she was just like, the moment whether you go, I remember she said, whether you go in January or you go in May or you go, you'll just find something.
You'll find it.
Everything's going to align. And honestly, that's exactly what happened. When I moved to Milan, I felt welcomed.
The doors, the gates opened.
And I spoke so badly.
The Italian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was incredible.
And it just lined up.
Yeah.
That's wild. I did have you ever done an aura reading, aura photo?
Oh, no. I've not done that.
I did an aura photo. I've done a couple, but the first one was in Sedona several years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. And I think she asked me my name. She didn't ask me anything about myself. And I sat or is by Jamie. I'll even put a plug in for her. She travels. She speaks at corporate events, and she took my picture with the Curlian. It's called a Curlian camera. You put your hands on the metal things, and then she sat down and spent 15 minutes telling me all about myself. Like, you know, all just boom, 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 boom. All these, just looking at the colors of the thing without any other information. So wherever she was getting it, she was like. There was not
spot on.
I never went, oh no, that's not me. I mean, every single thing she said, yeah. Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
What the information that's there. So then you went to Milan and you got
So
all
I
kinds
went
of
to
work
Milan,
teaching.
and it's true that all the Pilates studios, all the gigs started to line up, and so that's when to circle back to your point. That's when I was working a lot, also because I felt insecure in that jump into the solely freelance job. So I would say yes to everything.
Yeah.
So I did work a lot of hours. I worked every day. I think I only had Sundays that was off.
It's sort of like the story about the Beatles. You know, they seemed like an overnight success, but they had been playing in gigs in Hamburg for years.
Exactly, it's true.
Like multiple nights of the week. So this was your fire. This was what forged your.
Absolutely, but that was the best training because I worked in different settings as well. So I was in that like hotel. I did a bit of corporate teaching. I worked in studios, and especially different studios, but the main studios. I worked at, you had the regular Pilates class. It was mostly reformer, regular Pilates classes, but then you also had a lot of rehabilitation.
Okay.
And I love that. That taught me a lot.
You really had to call on your anatomy.
Elderly who have like very reduced mobility.
Yeah.
You have people sort of like using this as their physio post-surgery on their, torn ACL or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was really great.
Yeah. Amazing. And so you did that for a number of years and then...
Yeah, I did that for 5 years.
Wow. Yeah, you were saying, or when we were chatting earlier, that sometimes like 8 classes a day.
Yes, it was like 8 classes a day. Yeah, 7 days we have 6, sometimes 7, but 6 days a week.
6 days a week.
That's a lot
of teaching.
Yeah. That's a lot of teaching.
That's a lot of teaching. Yeah. And then meanwhile, you kept up a bit of your own, like you had to keep up your own practice?
Yeah, trying to keep up my own practice. So anytime I had free, I would those are the perks of being an instructor. Is like you can go and take classes in the studios as well.
Sure.
So any chance I had, I would do that. I did some sort of like exchange as well because I had at some point it was lovely. I had this guy come to me and I would at the studio, and we did private sessions together because he was just recovering from a surgery on his knee. But then at some point, he told me, like I would like to continue, but I can't pay like the full like private session rate. Why don't we do an exchange? He was a personal trainer at like a big gym. I think it was like a Virgin or something.
Oh yeah, nice. So you were able to get.
So he was like, we've got reformers, so why don't like I sneak you into the gym and like I coach you.
Right.
And in exchange you give me like a Pilates session. So I was like, that worked for a few months. So that was nice.
Oh, nice. And how would you characterize for people who are listening the core, what's the tenet? What's the underlying philosophy of Pilates, like structurally, philosophically, and how does that turn into the benefits for people?
So compared to like one of the main, so I always have people asking me, like people always like a comparison, right? But like, what is it compared to yoga? So in Pilates, there's no like spiritual dimension at all.
It's mechanical.
It's mechanical. It's functional. You want a more functional body. You want a pain-free body. You want to get rid of your lower back pain, strengthen your core. So then one of the pillars is breath. So I think that's what slowly took me into actual pranayama and breath work, because the importance of breath in Pilates, it's really one of the main like principles.
Yeah.
But again, all these to get into it's this like diaphragmatic breathing, basically. It's like lateral. You inhale and expand your rib cage, and when you exhale, you engage through your core, you feel your pelvic floor muscles lift up, and you find that sort of like you tighten that corset of muscles a little bit.
The transverse abdominis and the
Absolutely,
whole everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All that core unit, the core muscles, that core unit. But again, breath here doesn't have any kind of transcendental like dimension to it. It's I don't want to say mechanical. It's just functional.
It's functional, sure.
You want your diaphragm to perform well and be efficient and breathe efficiently. That's the technique.
Yeah, and it's a different breathing. Yogic breathing, they tend to push you into your belly. They
Absolutely.
want to see a belly breathing, and this is very much chest expansion.
It stays a bit higher in the chest, in the rib cage. Yes.
And I had gotten to the point with my own physical degradation, let's call it, where I was so tight and stiff that my intercostal, which are the really dense tissue between the ribs.
Between the ribs, yeah.
So tight, like, I couldn't do the expansion.
There was probably your diaphragm being quite tight as well, right?
Yeah.
And stiff.
Yeah. Yeah. Because on the spiritual side of things, that's linked to your solar plexus and the will. And I had this, still have this very like, we're going to do it this way. I don't care what you say, universe.
No flexibility here.
No
We're
flexibility.
doing it.
And so that manifests in the body.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think we'd be surprised how many people don't breathe efficiently.
Yeah.
And that diaphragm is probably more people than we can imagine.
And there's in the yogic tradition,
Stiff.
there's reasons to do the belly breathing. Like I did a hatha class with Grace on Sunday, and it clears things out. But it's you're also, the chest never moves. The belly's just moving in and out. You're not getting.
Yeah, you're not getting anything higher up. And also, the reason why it has to be higher up in your rib cage is that imagine if you're doing some core work or ab work. Imagine you're lying down on your back and your legs are tabletop, when they're bent just over your hips. And you're crunching up, you're doing a chest lift. Well, you can't breathe down in your belly.
You can't breathe in your belly, no.
It's impossible. So you need to use the rib cage and that expansion to connect to the core muscles.
I mean, I've been astounded at, where muscles actually exist in my body that I didn't know before. I used to do a lot of like high intensity interval training and just the crazy crunches and burpees and all of that.
Oh, the burpees!
Oh,
don't tell me about
terrible,
the burpees.
Especially as you get older. and what I've found so fascinating with Pilates is that I seldom come out. Every once in a while, if I've been traveling and I haven't had a class, I'm not sore. I've gotten stronger and stronger, but it's not through the aching, the terrible soreness.
Pushing, yeah.
What's that?
The pushing.
The pushing and being stiff and just for the next 2 or 3 days and things being sore, and that's not the case with Pilates. It's like a gentler way to strength.
Yeah, but I think my theory behind this, because I have more and more people telling me this, and to me it is. When someone comes to see me after class and tells me this, I'm just like, okay, I've done my job today. It got through to someone. It's like someone coming. I work in another studio here in Chicago in River North, and I teach. It's mat work. I teach my way, and most of the other classes that are on the program, that are on a schedule, are more like, Pilates sculpt and those chisel formats that are a lot more
aggressive,
very fast-paced.
Yeah.
So it's a very young clientele in these studios. So they're in their 20s. But more often than not, like more and more, people come to see me after my class and be like, I could feel my breathing today. I love the slower pace. It's not less challenging, but I actually feel that I can feel what I'm doing whilst I'm doing it. Sometimes when it's too fast, I enjoy it because I enjoy the bird, I enjoy whatever, but I come out of the class and I feel a bit almost disconnected from my body.
Yeah.
Whereas now I feel like I had a workout, but I felt quite relaxed at the same time. And I think that's the breath. That's the connection to the breath. It's like that. It's mindfulness, right? To breathe is mindfulness, and you can also be mindful in movement.
Yes. I mean, I've actually literally darn near fallen asleep in Pilates before.
Oh, you mentioned that to me.
Yeah. With the breathing, I'll just get in this sort of liminal state, and my body's doing what my body's doing. And I think the other thing to point out for people is, I mean, Pilates the classes are expensive. They tend to be expensive. The mat class is less so because it's a group, but the reformer. But I'll do one a week. I've been doing one a week for about 3 years on average. Sometimes now, lately more 2, because with Beyond I'll add that in. And it's not some, it's not cheap, but it's very, very effective.
It is very effective, yeah.
For the hour that you take to do it once a week. I mean, I've completely untangled things in my body as a result of it, and it hasn't required this, 5 days a week in the gym.
Yeah. And I think that's what I like about it as well. It's just like it doesn't have that spiritual dimension, but it has this deep connection to your body dimension. So when you do it, I like that it's not, that's just me, but I like that it's not passive. You actually have to think about what you're doing.
Right.
And you really put your mind into your body and you have that possibility to be like, what am I feeling now? What muscles firing? What is it that I'm feeling in my left hip? It's like a bit of stiffness. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Like if you listen to it, it's this is what I'm going to say is valid for any physical activity, but I feel even more so in Pilates, if you listen to it, your body is constantly giving you feedback.
Yes.
And pieces of information.
Yeah. So with the breath work, then this platform that you've developed, or these classes online program project that you've developed, and we'll have the links in the text. You said that there's Pilates, breath work, and a method. And a method to put this together.
A method I created, which is called the Empowered Body Method.
Okay.
Where I blend, so it's a movement. It's a movement class. I blend Pilates, I blend breath work, and fascia work. I fell in love with this a couple years ago. I love to learn. I'm always like doing short courses. My husband is like, what are you studying again? Like, what is it? I have like a pile of books on my bedside table. I can see you too in your shelves. And I don't even remember how I came across it. Doing an online course. I think during an online course, I virtually met Bonnie Krotzer, who's a teacher, a wonderful, practitioner. I don't know how to call her. And
fascial.
Yes, and I don't want to diminish or limit everything she does because she does so much. She's based in New York City, and she has this platform. She has a membership where you fascia floss with her
this is the
twice.
Flossing that you sent me, fascial flossing.
You floss with her twice a week. And so I do that. I'm actually on her membership, and I do some flossing myself. And then I did my teacher's training. I did 2 levels. She's offering 2 at the moment, and I did both, and it's fascinating. And that opened me up to the world of I was able to dive a bit more into the world of traditional Chinese medicine, because in her flossing, fascia is very much linked to the meridians.
The meridians, yes.
So then to the organs and to the emotions. And here we go beyond the physical, and we really tap into the emotions as well, and everything we store inside our bodies, good or bad.
Yeah, it's in the fascia.
It's all in the
fascia.
Because
you had the anatomy with the Pilates, but it was primarily muscular and ligaments. And
I still don't. Now I'm studying all this. I'm just like, why don't they talk more about fascia? it's all there. How
Yeah.
Charbonnet says, the issue is in the tissue.
Issues
I
in the
love
tissue.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my path was similarly through the fascia with Jonathan Tripodi, who I've interviewed on here. And we've talked about
Yes.
Human Garage people. I think that have you gone to Human Garage before? They have a whole program. They travel the world training people in unwinding their fascia and moves that you can do yourself in the morning, which I'm assuming yours are.
Yeah. And that's so empowering, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So the program is it a set amount of time?
That's the first program I launched, and it's of 21 days.
Okay.
Restorative strength. And you've got 3 weeks. It's 12 classes total, so 4 per week.
Okay.
A couple of breathwork, one of Pilates, and one of this method I created. And it's also something that is really, I really drew from my experience, from my own teaching, from my own practice of also living with an autoimmune disease.
Of your own, of yourself, your own.
Of my own. I have like Hashimoto's disease. And it's just also open a new dimension to how I experience movement and therefore how I teach. Is I just cannot, like physically cannot go to any of those. And that's even mild cardio to go to a Pilates Sculpt or pump, or I just cannot do it. My energy will be drained for the 2 days, whatever I do, however well I sleep after that or eat after that. It's just, the energy-wise, it's not working.
I used to do that. I would go and do these workouts, these burpees, and with these guys in my old neighborhood, and we'd split into groups, and the guys, the one group would stay and see how many burpees they could do, while the other group took a 25-pound weight and they ran around the block and came back. And so that and I would go home and I would be in screaming pain and I would be exhausted. I'm like, I didn't go hard enough.
I know. And I think,
it's like
and
crazy.
I did that as well. It was before my diagnosis, but how many, when it was like the flavor of the month, like the high intensity interval training, I did them all. And to be honest, exactly.
Yeah.
If I think about it, I hated it. I hated it even at the time. But it was trendy.
Right.
And also they sort of like sold it as, well, that's the real strength. If you can do that, you're strong. I was just like,
right.
No, you're not.
No.
It's all, not necessarily.
For some people, I think it works for some people.
If it works for you, great.
Yeah.
But I have a bit of a thing with like the fitness industry in general and how like their messaging and how, go hard, go home, all that mindset.
Right.
I just am so against it because it creates so many insecurities, and if you can't actually do it but because that's not for you, you just feel, I'm lazy, I'm not good enough, well, I'm not strong, and it's not true. It's just you've not found the right way, like the right movement
for your body.
Exactly, methodology for your body.
I find it interesting that Pilates seems to be on this stealthy sort of rise. There's
true.
More and more interest in it. I mean, even at the club now, since I've joined about almost 18 months ago, they've added, I don't know how many tons. I mean, there's only 3 reformers, but they've added a lot of teachers and classes where there used to just be a few times a week.
Interesting.
And it really is. I did it in place. So my chiropractor that I was seeing had suggested PT, physical therapy, and this person, God bless him, he was trying to literally like wrench my hips back into place, and pushing on things and pulling on things and having me do exercises. And I just thought, this I don't think this is right, because there's very big muscles down there. And I don't think that this is going to get them to do something different. And that was when I took a friend's advice to seek out Pilates. She had told me a couple of times, and I thought, because my core was so sore, like everything in the pelvis, pelvic floor was so, I thought the last thing I want to do is anything that's going to strengthen my core.
Exactly, work my core.
But I was exactly wrong, because that was what I needed, was the deep core was not strong, but everything on the surface was overdeveloped and like hardened, and it needed to get loosened, and the breath and the opening of the chest and everything. So I really applaud that approach that you're taking.
Thank you.
With teaching people all of these things, and it's, you said it's self-paced, right? It's everything's pre-recorded.
Yes, it's pre-recorded. So, I suggest an order for the. I set it up so there's week 1, week 2, week 3. They're slightly different. The first week is to reconnect, so a lot of breath work, a gentle movement. Second week is to reclaim. So we tap a bit more into core work, energizing breath. And the last week is regulate.
Regulate, okay.
So we stay in that energy and through movement as well, and through different breathing techniques. So there's a natural order, and that's the way I created the program. But then I wanted these to be new tools for people to just then, I quite like that breathwork practice because it helped me, regulate or extend my exhalation. Or I like this one because I did it in the morning and I felt like that burst of energy. So
yeah.
I want those little classes also to be like tools for people to, today I'll just do the breathwork. Once you've done the program, just like use them here and there.
Yeah. So you have, great. So that's self-paced, and then you can go back and do
exactly
repeat whatever you want to repeat.
Yeah, because the program, the classes are yours forever.
Forever, so once you subscribe.
It's not. There's no
recurring monthly. You don't have to continue.
It's not like valid for like 6 weeks and then.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. I love that. And then you do private instruction over the internet, like the
I
Zoom?
do. I teach online thanks to the pandemic. I actually have private clients that I teach over the world if time difference allows, and since 2020. So it's incredible. Yeah,
that's great. You're the nomadic Pilates.
Yeah, but I feel like, for exercise, this has opened a new dimension to people that now my clients, even when they go on holiday, they're like, well, we'll keep training, right? Because it's online and they're used to the online modality. So there's no problem to just, so it just never stops.
Okay.
When, before the pandemic, it's just like, well, the studio is closed, or maybe I'll do a class on YouTube or whatever. But it was just like, now I'm on holiday. I'm not doing at least that kind of exercise. Maybe people would go for a run or something, but
sure,
that would sort of stop. And now it's just, we might as well just keep doing it.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah. Very cool. Beautiful. So in terms of the target market for like the type of person who, are you targeting a particular like type of person, age group, fitness level?
Fitness level is, there's no requirement.
No requirement.
It's just really come wherever you're at. It's good enough, because that's what I want to do. I want to show people that you don't have to be at this level. You don't have to. Because that's it. Most people, it happened to me like the other week again, and someone that it really touched me, because a woman who has an autoimmune disease, and she's like, I used to be very active. It's probably like 15 years and I don't do anything because I can't keep up with those classes. And I'm also very intimidated now. I don't want to go and be completely...
Be the new person and not know.
Be the new person and not know, and not feel that I'm not good enough. And and as a result, she's not exercising. And I think that's just such a shame. So I just want to you start where you're at.
Okay.
And that's good enough.
Yeah.
And you first, I think, need to start reconnecting to your body. And for me, the best is through breath.
Through the breath, yeah.
And then breath and movement. And then you continue, you take it up, or you wait and just practice some more. But there's no, age group as well.
Okay. And it's minimal sort of props and tools. You don't need
It's minimal props. Though the program, at least, I didn't want that. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe for the next I'll add something else, but I didn't want people to have to think, oh, I need to buy an elastic band or so. It's just
Blocks or
nothing.
anything.
So we have blocks for the movement, the empowered body method movement classes, because
okay.
when we floss,
Yep.
it's nice to use the blocks to also sometimes in certain positions it elevates you a little bit. So
Yep, your
when you
hands,
have exactly a bit less mobility or less flexibility, and it's sort of a support.
Sure.
But other than that, I created it like mostly for people, because I've seen something in that population, people with chronic pain or autoimmune conditions or chronic stress, that what happens is that one, you develop a sort of like negative narrative towards your body. I'm not good enough, I'm lazy, my friends are doing 4 classes a week, I can't do even one. And also that negative narrative, but also, you just stop moving. You just stop moving. You're afraid because you're like, oh, if I do a class, will it send me into a flare-up?
Right.
And then I'm going to be feeling terrible for like a whole week.
Yeah.
What's the point?
Yeah.
So that was my main, I don't want to say target, but the main like community I wanted to create. But then I see that it's speaking to so many other people who are a bit, who don't resonate with the more fitnessy classes and the fast-paced classes.
Sure.
Because I see that, every week at the studio, people come to me, oh, I love the class, it's different. And, they're perfectly healthy, doing a few classes a week, but they kind of like the change of pace. It just speaks to them.
It speaks to them, yeah. I mean, the movement is so important. I'm not always great about it, especially when it's 9 degrees outside, but...
You should go to a heated class. That's what getting me through this winter is that all my mat work classes are heated. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, they have lovely infrared heaters up in the ceiling at the club. It's quite nice. Yeah, in fact, the yoga class wasn't intended to be heated on Sunday, but it was.
Oh.
It was very nice. But yeah, just the movement. I know I allow myself to fall out of it and get, kind of turn into a hermit for a week or so.
But it's fine too.
Yeah,
it's
but then when I start to move again, my body's like,
of course.
oh yeah, this is what we're supposed to be doing.
Of course.
Yeah.
But I also think it's funny because someone 3 weeks ago, who I also teach. I've been teaching for 4 or 5 years for a digital platform. So I teach mat work. It's all online. It's based in Italy. And this girl has been doing my classes for a while. It was so interesting, that conversation, because she comes to me and she's like, Pascale, I wanted to ask your advice and your opinion because I've been Googling it, but I just wanted to make sure. And I asked the internet and so many people and so many in my searches, everybody says I must heavy lift.
Right.
I need to do strength conditioning. I need to do strength training for bone health. What do you think? Problem is, I've tried many times, but I hate it. I don't like it, and as a result, I'm not consistent with it.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, truth is, it's a valid argument. Strength training is very, very important as you age, because from 30 years old, we start losing muscle mass.
Right.
So it's important to keep it up. Now, it's not the only thing if your interest is solely bone health, doing Pilates, anything that's weight-bearing, it's good for bone density. But now, I was like, the most interesting thing in that conversation is that don't do, even though it's very valid and all that, don't do something you don't like.
Right.
Because on the other hand, she does Pilates maybe like 4 times a week, and this she really enjoys.
She enjoys.
She's like, then keep doing. Because if I seen something, my big, like, the main thing that I'm taking home from all these years of teaching is consistency is key.
Yeah.
Even if you do 15 minutes every day, but you're consistent, it's going to do,
It does wonders. I was for about a year, maybe 18 months, I was very consistent with the fascial work every morning, like 30 minutes of of movement and the human garage fascial stuff, and yeah, I felt fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and then I allow my crazy travel schedule to interrupt it.
To interrupt, well, then
And
you make plans and life happens,
then
right?
life
It's
happens,
just it's not always easy, but I feel like
begin again.
you begin again. Exactly,
yeah.
you begin again where you are, and it's fine, and it's never like a real setback.
No,
But I don't think we should. I don't know. It's always like this fitness world messaging that I don't fully agree with. Although I recognize and I know that strength training is so important. Then if you don't like it, then it's going to be counterproductive because you're going to be stressed about it.
Your body's trying to tell you
Exactly,
something.
yeah.
And Pilates is strength training. I mean, you're getting getting stronger. Like it's just very isolating. You can isolate the muscles.
It's in a different way. But
Yeah.
I remember I just I made an Instagram. I'm not very present on, especially like talking on stories. It makes me cringe to just hear and see myself. But I'm trying to get myself out there a little bit more. And I made after this I made a story about this, and I thought, oh my god, all the PTs are gonna hate on me,
jump on you,
and be like, what are you saying about strength conditioning and that it's not valid? I was just like, okay, just to say, like, I think it's a very valid argument. I'm just saying that if it doesn't work for you, like, the important thing is that you move your body every day.
Right.
And you tell me you do that 4 times a week. I think it's great.
Right. Let it go. Let it
Yeah.
go. Yeah. If it doesn't work, let it go.
It's like the cold plunge. It doesn't work for some people. It's fine.
Right.
It's, there's some like science behind it maybe, but then those are still like quite like trends and fads.
Well, yeah, I know for a while, like a friend of mine who used to be my landlord, he's 15 years older or so, and he was doing the really heavy lift, like to fail, like super heavy weights to failure, like you did very few times, and I just thought, oh, that sounds awful.
I know, right? It's like pushing those.
The carts, the sleds, the sled, yeah, like the
that
football
looks
players,
painful,
yeah. Well, amazing. Thank you so much for coming over.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I love these conversations, especially having them in person. And I'll put the why don't you just tell us the URL for the program? Is it your website is what?
My website is pascalefalempin.com. So
Pascal
my name, my surname, and
yeah. So
and
it's
you're there.
PascaleFalempin.com.
Yeah.
And it'll be in the little text down below. Hook up with Pascale and get your body moving.
Get your body moving and breathing. Exactly.
Yeah,
and feel that connection again.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.